Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the biggest myth I see on social media with live scope and front-facing sonar. But before I get into the video, if you guys are not a subscriber yet, if you're new to watching the channel, if you would, just click the subscribe button if you guys would, and also like the video if you like the video, and if you got any comments, especially about front-facing sonar or live scope, be sure to comment on this video. That helps get the views out there, and I want to hear your guys' comments on this and your guys' opinions on the live scope as well. So the biggest myth in live scope fishing. So let's get into that. And the biggest myth that I see is guys say it don't help you catch bass. You still got to make the bass bite. That is what I see constantly from the live scope guys and front-facing sonar guys. That is their comeback to anybody that, does not like front-facing sonar. That's what they say. You still got to make them bite. You still got to catch bass. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that it makes it a lot easier. So what helps you with the live scope? That's the biggest myth, is it don't help you catch live scope. So if you're a guy that don't have live scope or front-facing sonar, you need to get it. And I'm going to tell you the reasons why you need to get it in this video from a front-facing sonar user as myself. I don't like it, but I have to use it because I know I got to learn it, because that is where our technology is moving to. So I want to tell you guys that do not have it, and you might be falling for this myth that it don't help you catch the fish or it don't make the bass bite. So the number one reason you need to get live scope is it helps you see these bass and locate these bass, guys. I don't know, it's just like sonar, except it's facing forward. I mean, you can't exactly, see the fish and see its details and see its fins. When it's underneath you, you can kind of get a pretty good symbol of it, that it just still doesn't return, where you can see their fins, and see an exact picture of the fish. But if you know how to read sonar, you can tell what those fish are, even up to 100 foot out. You can see what these bass are. And I don't know about the Active Target 2 now and the new live scope, but I know Active Target 1 and the old live scope, you can see these up to about 100 foot, not clearly. About 40 foot to 50 foot, you can start seeing pretty decently clear. So basically, they're just kind of blobs, or like when my wife was out with me the other day, she was calling them like little fireballs out there. And she didn't know how to read it, and I had to explain it all to her, what they look like. So it takes a little bit of skill to learn what these are, but it helps you locate and see these bass, and that helps you to concentrate and slow down an area. Whereas before, a guy without it, he's going through an area and he's just fishing blind. He's fishing for fish, but he's got to get a bite to tell him those bass are in there. And if he never gets that bite, he's not going to stay in that area. Just like now with live scope, you can go into an area and you can see those bass. You can see how they're reacting to your lures. So you can change up colors. You can change on the body. You can change a moving bait. You can change it to a slow bait, change it to a bottom bait. You can change everything according to those fish that you're seeing on your front-facing sonar. That is what makes front-facing sonar so crucial. And that is why a lot of guys like myself do not like it, is because it takes a lot of the learning process away from bass fishing. Just like me, I've been fishing tournament-wise since I was 16 years old, and I've been fishing since, I was really in a boat since I was about 12, and then before that, didn't know anybody had a boat, so I was walking the bank. So everything that I've learned about bass fishing and all that knowledge came from time on the water and learning from catching these fish, and it's just making that learning time faster for all these new guys coming up by the front-facing sonar. Just like all these things we had to learn about catching these fish and how bass locate the structure, where they set up and how to catch them and how they react to different baits. We had to learn that just by imagining what our lure was doing under the water. That is a thing of the past now. That is why you need to get the front-facing sonar. It's because of how much it teaches you and the time it teaches you that, guys. I've learned more from my front-facing sonar in 1 year than I have from the rest of the 25 years that I've bass fished. Just from having that front-facing sonar. Just in 1 year, the amount that I learned from that. So now number two is it lets you see the bass behavior, guys. That's another big thing that does not get mentioned. And when I'm talking bass behavior, I'm talking, are they suspended? Are they on the bottom? Which if they're on the bottom, you can't see them very well. But when your bait's coming along, you can see them coming up off the bottom. So when they come up off that bottom, you can see them. And once you start getting better at it, you can see those fish on the bottom because you can kind of see them move. So once you start getting it out there and learning it more, you can see exactly what it is. So you can see their behavior, like I said, suspended, or if they're on the bottom, and how they relate to that structure. Just like if you have trees, let's say suspended trees under there, you can see if they're suspended in the trees, you can see if they're suspended on top of the trees, over the treetops. Brush piles, the same way. You can see if they're suspended in the brush pile. You can see if they're suspended over the top of the brush pile. So it tells you where they're located. Same way with docks. You can actually see underneath docks with it and see bass underneath the docks, guys. So you know where they're sitting at. You can see if they're sitting on the edges of the docks. You can see if they're sitting underneath the docks. Just the amount of knowledge that you can learn from this front-facing sonar, once you learn how to use it efficiently, is just absolutely insane and just taking the learning curve out of bass fishing. That's why a lot of us guys are against it. Us true blood bass fishermen are against the front-facing sonar. It's just the amount it can learn. And that's why I'm here telling you what you can learn from it, though, is because it's kind of a necessity. Depending on where you're fishing at, it's a necessity now, guys, because everybody else is getting it. So if you're not getting it, you're getting left behind. Yeah, you can still keep up in some tournaments, but say you're trying to go to Table Rock in the wintertime, you're going to get your butt smoked by it. So you got to learn how to use it. You got to know how to use it and get out there and get it done. That's why I'm putting this video out there for you guys, to let you know that front-facing sonar does help you catch bass, does help you locate bass, and it's just amazing everything it does. I hate it, but you got to have it, guys, or you're just getting left behind. And then another thing is, the next thing is it helps you locate the structure. Okay, let's say you're fishing treetops out in 50 foot of water. You can see where those treetops are, and you can see your bait coming over the top of those treetops. Just like fishing underneath you. A lot of guys said, oh, I used to drop shot, with the 2D sonar. Yes, you used to drop shot with a 2D sonar, but you was not doing it efficiently like you're doing it now, because now you can see 100 foot out, and you can see underneath you as well, and then you can scan around to 100 foot out, 360 pretty much all the way around the boat with it, and see where those bass are, then go up to them, then drop your drop shot on top of them. But that's not just it, not just finding like suspended trees, fishing brush piles, guys. It makes it so much easier. When you're fishing an offshore brush pile, you used to have to triangulate, used to have to know and line up points to remember exactly where that brush pile was, and then you still had to cast to it. That was a skill, and that's another thing I'll get into later about with spot lock. That took a big skill out of bass fishing that a lot of guys don't talk about. That's an overlooked one, but is boat control. So now you don't have to try to remember where that is, or where that brush pile is. Say, for instance, offshore, you can just get close to it, put your front-facing sonar down, scan, find it, and then you can cast directly to it, guys. It's no guesswork getting into it. You cast right to it. You can watch your bait go in it. You can watch the bass come out and look at your bait and react to that bait. So that is what makes front-facing sonar so efficient now, and that's why it has taken over the bass fishing scene, is because of how easy it is, guys. I did this at Grand Lake. I got 75th place out of 100. Or there was only 118 that caught a fish, and there was 209 boats, I believe, 208 boats, and I got 75th place only on 5 hours practice down there, and I did it all with the front-facing sonar. And right here is going to be a video that shows you, right after this, I'm going to show you why front-facing sonar is so crucial. This bass right here was my second keeper of the day, and I caught this fish. You can see me working my bait back to the boat, and then when it gets closer, if you look in the bottom of the screen right there, the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can see the bass right there, and it's just right underneath the boat. And as my jerkbait's coming up, I see him looking at it, and he followed it all the way. And then when I got up there, I actually jerked my jerkbait up a couple times, and that's what got that bass to bite that. See, before, when I would work a jerkbait, I would very seldomly work it all the way back to the boat. because usually you don't get bit when it's coming up, but for some reason that day on Grand Lake, they was biting it when it was coming back up to the boat, and I was giving it a twitch back up towards the top. Instead of downward, I was jerking it upward, and that's what triggered that strike from that bass. That's why I'm going to post that video, and here's that video right now.
Oh, there's one. That's a, whatever that is. I don't know what that's a bass. It's a good one. Yep, good bass. Good bass. Yeah, bass. It's a good one too. Get him in the net. Get up here. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. They're just out here further. Right at the boat too. Isn't that weird? I always told the jerkbait was like at your lowest point is when they bit it. They're all right underneath the boat. Like they followed all the way to the boat, and I just stop it, and they just right at the boat.
So now you guys watch that video, you've seen how I watched that fish and how it reacted to my bait and how I caught that bass from using the front-facing sonar. Without that, I would have not caught that bass. So I'm against front-facing sonar, yes, but I'm doing this video to tell you guys the myths that are fake about front-facing sonar. If you want to catch more bass, if you want to be more competitive in bass tournaments now, unless they ban it, and I don't see that happening, unfortunately, I would like it to see bass fishing tournaments go that way, but that ain't going to happen. So if you want to be competitive, guys, go out and get you a front-facing sonar. I mean, they're still pretty expensive for the working man, blue-collar guy. For about $3,000, you can get a setup and get a setup on your boat. Still ain't a real big screen. I went out and I just spent $4,000 actually, which is cheap because I got a 16-inch screen with it and the active target. But that's still not cheap. A lot of guys say, oh, it's only $4,000, you know, on a $100,000 boat. Well, guys, us blue-collar anglers, we ain't got $100,000 boats. You know, we don't have a boat payment every month. We got boats that are paid off. We take our paychecks to feed our family. We got our paychecks paying health insurance for our family. You know, we're working men. We're blue-collar anglers. That's what a lot of people overlook. And then a lot of people say, oh, well, bass fishing ain't for the blue-collar angler. Just look at the Bassmaster Opens. I'll get into that into another video. But they make it nine tournaments now. There's no way a working man can do that. A blue-collar angler, they just got just trash to the side. That's not how it should be, guys. I'll get into that later. Won't get into those aspects right now. But just so you guys know, I'm a blue-collar angler myself. But if you're going to be competitive, you need to get front-facing sonar, guys. I just wanted to break the myth. Front-facing sonar does not help you catch fish. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, become a subscriber. Look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully you guys will tune in and check out more of my videos. Thank you.